And a very happy Monday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, we are just a little over 2 weeks away from the election to replace Sheng Tao, the Oakland recall election, and the ads are starting to get pretty nasty against Barbara Lee.
We are one Oakland.
Did Barbara Lee just say her slogan is One Oakland? Wow. This lady is really trying to be Sheng Tao 2.0.
Whoa! Them's fighting words.
Absolutely.
I wonder if Shang is aware of the fact that her name has become profanity.
You know, that's what a mayor do.
Oh, we know. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Before we get to the topic, Randy, I did something this weekend that I didn't think was possible, even for me.
What's that?
While playing golf on Sunday morning, I managed to hit a moving car with my ball. Now, in my defense, it was a very narrow par 4 with a street running parallel to the hole with no gate in between, and I beamed a black Prius clean.
Congrats.
Well, the guy didn't even stop. He just kept going. Maybe, I don't know. He thought it was a war zone that he was driving through or something.
I got to imagine people that drive through that street, that happens a lot.
My guess is you might be right. Particularly when I'm playing.
If you live next to a golf course, you should not be surprised when the golf balls from John hit your door. And if you drive through a golf course, you should not be surprised if one smashes your window.
What was funny was he never broke stride. He never hit the brakes. He never stopped the car. He just kept going. What are you going to do? All right. Over the weekend, Friday night, I believe, Bill Maher hosted his program on HBO. And this week, his guest was none other than California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Gavin went on with Bill Maher. And the first thing that Bill Maher had to do was complain to the governor's face about how hard it's been for him to get a permit for his roof.
Go for it, Bill.
First up, we have a podcaster.
That is a pretty good line.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
His new podcast is called This Is Gavin. He's also the Democratic governor of California, Gavin Newsom.
The governor is the second billing now.
Podcaster gets first billing?
Yes.
You know what's funny? And he talked about it a little bit in the interview. Gavin claims that he is not running for president, has no interest in being president, not going to happen, over and over and over again. He says the same thing, yada, yada, yada. What's funny is when you're a guest on these programs, unless you're an in-house contributor or an elected official who is up for re-election, the only point of going on these programs is if you have something to promote. You're an actor, you've got a movie coming out, you're promoting the movie, you go on the shows. We have a program that is being cleared in San Francisco, so I've been doing the television programs to promote it. But then after the promotion is done, you go away because I rather watch the Angels play than be a guest on the cable programs or other radio shows, those sorts of things. If you're Gavin Newsom and you're not running for president and you're a lame duck termed out governor, what are you promoting on these shows?
Your podcast.
Seriously?
He loves it. He loves his podcast. He loves that he gets so much national attention for it every single episode. He's giddy about it.
Well, he's not really promoting the podcast. He's promoting his presidential run.
He'll never tell you that, though.
No, he won't.
All right. Governor, how are you?
How are you, Bill?
You look great.
God bless you.
Always do.
I'll never understand that.
What?
The running gag of, do you guys understand just how attractive Gavin Newsom is?
Oh, yeah. What is Kimberly Guilfoyle, the next guest?
Appreciate you. Well, first of all, always appreciating this is a California show. We've been in this building since 1996. Love my California. And I appreciate you making the time. You must be very busy. A podcast, you're governor, you're running for president. Where do you get...
I mean, it's an easy laugh.
But let's talk about what's important. My roof.
Your roof.
My roof.
Is this the solar? Is this go back to the solar?
After the fire.
It's always about the solar.
After the fire.
Yes, Bill.
New roof. They suggested, get the stuff that's not okay. 2 inspections I needed to have. Why? It's my roof.
Now this I like.
Oh, yeah, because it's a legitimate beef.
If it falls on my head, that's my problem.
That's it?
That's it.
That's just a statement.
No, that's my question. Why do I need 2 inspections, which I have to pay for?
Yeah.
You were here last time. We talked about regulations. You said, it's a completely new day.
Well, no, wait.
That's a quote from you.
That was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's not a new day for the fire victims. They're dealing with hell.
Completely new day.
Well,
You said you were working on it.
By the way, and last week...
We had his first meltdown here.
He loves doing that.
He Porky Pigged.
He could play Roscoe if they did a remake of the Dukes of Hazzard.
What is that?
I don't know. The needle's coming off the record.
I don't know why, but I feel compelled I have to save that. I have no reason to ever play it. I just want it in my life.
How many drops do you have of him short-circuiting?
Oh, probably 2 dozen. They're all over the place.
You collect them all like they're cereal toys.
You said you were working on it.
By the way, and last week you had Ezra Klein on, which was incredibly important. He wrote a book called Abundance, which really lays out a very condemning picture of liberal governance in this country.
Specifically, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Gavin. We live here, and we all have to deal with it on a daily basis. If only you knew someone in elected office who could do something about it.
And the fact that we are process-focused and not outcome-focused. And your demonstrable example of that is relates to what you've tried to do with your damn roof for the last 15 years. And so it's our job to eliminate as many of those thickets and
How's that going, though?
as possible.
Gavin loves to say, we own it. We're working on this. But he's been governor for 6 years. No, he's not.
And he's got an angry constituent.
Well, I'll tell you this. When we have on a serious note, when we have an emergency mindset, it goes extraordinarily well. I'll give you 2 examples. You had Josh Shapiro on recently talking about the I-95. We had the I-10 here, which we were able to get back on track and cars back on that I-10 within 8 days.
Hey, you ever catch that arsonist?
Yeah, and how about all the homeless encampments that are still underneath the freeways?
Isn't it just a little strange that we all just kind of gave up asking who melted the 10 freeway?
It's so weird when you think about it. If some guy is on the phone or his kid is on the phone with Joe Biden on Christmas Eve and he says, let's go Brandon at the end of the call, we know everything about that guy Christmas morning. We know what his name is. We know what city he lives in. We know where he works. We know what his neighbors think about him. We know the people he went to school with. Yet, if you're dealing with someone who melts the freeway, and it is alleged by the authorities that it was an act of arson, the fire was set on purpose, we still don't know who that person is, even though we have video of them doing it. And we don't know anything related to the investigation.
Nothing.
After
when you have
a fire.
After the fire, but we were able to do it in 8 days. And that otherwise would not have occurred. It have been months and months and months of process in a traditional environment. The same thing with the recovery as it relates to debris removal. The first phase of debris removal in Los Angeles was done in less than a month.
Yeah, but how many people have a permit to rebuild? Less than 5?
And the mayor is now saying it's going to take 5 years.
Oh, don't bring her up. He doesn't like her.
We're a month and a half ahead right now. 1,500 parcels have been cleaned up. I want to get it all done in the next 6 months. Again, because we have an emergency mindset. The question is, how do you apply that in between emergencies? How do you do that as it relates to a standard of governance that people should expect and taxpayers should expect? So,
isn't that your job?
He's acting like he's just a guy in the peanut gallery who's shouting out at the person in charge.
So I couldn't agree.
He is the governor of a state where he has a supermajority in both houses of the legislature. He can get whatever he wants passed.
This is something that's becoming very common with him. He makes all of these grandiose proclamations, and there's zero follow-through. And it's not just with this. Remember when he was campaigning during the recall, and he promised blacks that he would give them reparations? And then when push came to shove and it came time to produce something, it was, oh, we're going to study it. We're going to kick the can down the road. Oh, we're going to table that. We'll come back to it at a later date. And then it turned into, we're going to spend money here at the government, and that's going to be regarded as reparations. He always does this.
Gavin Newsom, flashy headline, no follow-through.
So I couldn't agree more with Ezra. It's an indictment of liberal governance and leadership.
Which you are one of the most prominent leaders.
Who in the state has more power than him? During COVID, he basically ruled us like a king. There was no separation of powers during COVID. The legislature, I don't even know if they met. There would be no point if they did. The courts never stopped him. He had complete control over state government. And what did he use it for? To shut down the economy and force us to wear the mask.
And he attacks California rightfully in many categories and respects, the high-speed rail, as it relates to housing production, and we own that. But we also own the response. 42 secret reform bills I passed.
Yeah, but have they lowered the cost of building here?
This is also a tick of his, where he believes that if you create programs, if you spend money, if you hire people, if you pass bills, that in and of itself is victory. Whether or not it does what it was supposed to do is not relevant to the conversation.
He starts this rant by saying the Ezra book correctly shows that we're more focused on process than outcomes, and then immediately starts defending himself on all of his processes that have no outcomes.
Makes no sense.
There's 20 bills we're working on right now. We're trying to address the issue that is the issue that dominates, and that's localism. And the issue you describe is local inspectors that the state can't control, but we have to.
Oh, now it's all about local governments not carrying out his will. That's the real problem here.
Oh, sure. It's Huntington Beach, or it is the county of Los Angeles, or it is Karen Bass who's not responding to the fires. It's never him.
He has all the great ideas, but the locals have to carry it out. So if you got a problem with them.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you listened to us all weekend long, you weren't listening to live shows, but you were probably enjoying the podcast.
Let's say you wanted to go back and listen to all the times Gavin Newsom has short-circuited over the years.
Well, on the back end.
Just search for The John Phillips Show on Apple Podcasts. Search for The John Phillips Show on iHeartRadio. Search for The John Phillips Show on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. You can get yourself a Weird Gavin soundbite from probably every 10th episode of The John Phillips Show.
And you know what, Randy? I don't even care that Gavin Newsom is dominating the headlines this week. Nothing can slow my roll. Because the Angels are 2-1. They won the first series of the season against the White Sox, and they're marching in to St. Louis to play the Cardinals.
Hey, you got to take every victory that you can get with that team.
That's very true. And starting tomorrow, we're going live in the Bay Area.
Tomorrow is the launch day where this show officially is going to be broadcast live in 2 different markets. We'll still be here noon to 3 every single day on 790 KABC in Los Angeles. But starting tomorrow, we'll also be broadcast live at the same time on 810 KSFO in the Bay Area, bringing you the same local California content you've come to depend on us for. Just now live in 2 markets, taking live phone calls from Southern California and Northern California every single day. We want to make this launch huge, so you got friends up in the Bay Area, tell them to listen tomorrow live, noon to 3, 810 KSFO, KSFO.com, the KSFO app, and to everyone who's listening on our home station, 790 KABC, we're so glad that you're still with us, and we're happy to keep this thing going every single day from noon to 3. The John Phillips Show goes live and statewide starting tomorrow from noon to 3.
People keep emailing us, asking us if the show's going to change, as if we're going to go live in San Francisco and suddenly we're going to start speaking with an accent. No, neither one of us is going to start dating Alec Baldwin anytime soon.
The content of the show will be pretty much exactly the same. We just have to be better at being on time for breaks is all.
As you can tell, we're learning.
And we still got our Oakland A's, baby.
No, you don't.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Gilby Clarke to the Canyon in Agora Hills on April 19th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing.
Right now, we're going through the sound of California Governor and podcaster Gavin Newsom on with Bill Maher.
What would you like to hear? Gavin on the high-speed rail, Gavin on his podcast, Gavin on the trans stuff, or Gavin running for president?
Let's hear Gavin on the podcast.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so John Fetterman was in the news today. He said, if you're talking about the Democratic Party, he said, if we don't get our together.
I had to do a lot of bleeping for this show.
What was the other one that you had to bleep out?
Well, that was Gavin on his own podcast with Ezra Klein. Ezra had a lot of BS's.
Everyone has turned into Andrew Dice Clay in politics. Have you noticed that?
We're going to be a permanent minority.
I agree.
And I see you're doing something about it.
He's hosting a podcast.
Did you see who he invited on the podcast today?
Who's that?
Bernie Sanders.
Oh, Gavin's going to feel the burn.
And I see you're doing something about it. I applaud it. I think it's great. You've got this podcast. You're talking to people. You know, it's amazing to me.
You know, he has an actual day job that can affect the lives of 40 million people.
Yeah, but he doesn't care about that.
You know, it's amazing.
He's having a conversation. That's what really matters.
With Bernie.
You know, it's amazing to me that even that is controversial to some people. They call it...
Oh, there was our first indignant laugh.
Oh, we get plenty of those.
It's almost like he's a completely inauthentic person.
Almost.
They call it platforming. If you talk to someone you don't agree with.
Yeah.
I feel like this country is divided into owners and healers. People think you can own the other side. Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom owned DeSantis. Yeah. DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom.
It's pretty much every single headline on the website Mediaite.
Clickbait, they call it.
Yes, and it's all a waste of your time.
Or people who want to talk and heal. And I feel like the next president's going to be, at least if it comes from this party, the Democratic Party, someone who wants to talk and heal. And I feel like we do.
Okay, we can skip past the applause of that.
It's really been interesting, the reaction to the podcast. I mean, we had some controversial
figures. Did you speed him up?
No.
Wait, that's him speaking at his normal rate?
This is regular Gavin Shapiro Newsom.
It's really been interesting, the reaction to the podcast. I mean,
okay, let's listen to Gavin on cocaine.
Okay, so we don't do this often, but every once in a while, just because we want to make sure that it still works, we like to see what it sounds like if Gavin Newsom was the 1980s Gavin Newsom. So let's go ahead and speed him up and see what happens.
It's really been interesting, the reaction to the podcast. I mean, we had some... 'Cause, 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 'cause,
That created so much of an explosion, it could have been under a freeway overpass.
Now, we don't usually do the other drugs, but since all the kids are doing it these days, what if Gavin was doing some nitrous?
It's really been interesting, the reaction to the podcast. I mean, we had some controversial figures on.
Well, if he sounds like a teenager, I know the Lincoln Project guys would be interested.
Figures on, I'll acknowledge that, and Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and some others. But you're right.
But I thought it was Charles.
Who was it that was calling him Charles? Someone was.
We did that on Friday. Who was it?
I don't remember.
Oh, it was Antonio.
Oh, that's right. Charles in charge.
Tony V did not care for Gavin's pod. To be fair, I don't think Tony V knows what a podcast is or how to download one.
No, he's busy spinning records.
And some others. But you're right. I mean, this idea that we can't even have a conversation with the other side.
You have to. They won.
Thank you.
Yeah, but who's the ones that are torching him over it? It's the elected members of the California legislature.
They're really starting to get nasty with him, and I love it.
With the other side.
You have to. They won.
Thank you. That's it. Bottom line. And by the way, or the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now.
Did you see that JFK's grandson, Jack, went after him for making that statement?
This statement?
The Democratic brand is toxic right now.
Yes.
Look at the last election.
I don't know what the deal is, by the way, with that grandson of his. But when I look at him, I feel the same way that I do when I look at Willie Nelson. And that is, he just looks like he needs to be vacuumed.
We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not.
He's so excited about this, forgetting that he has a very important job.
Maybe he wants to be like Jerry Brown. When Jerry Brown left the governor's office, he became a radio talk show host. Maybe that's what Gavin will do next.
And not take cheap shots. I'm not looking to put a spoke in the wheel of their, or at least a crowbar in the spokes of their wheel to trip them up, to your point. And I think it's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real.
I could use that, but I'm going to be a good boy and not save it.
You've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that. They've got to mature about this.
But then Bill Maher does make a very good point.
So what do you say to people who say, well, this sounds all very good, but Governor, you were the poster boy for a lot of this stuff?
Very good question.
I see today the Trump administration they talked about, I don't know if this is true, but they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required.
Oh, this is the trans stuff. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender.
What was that noise?
I'm not sure. Maybe his lunch is disagreeing with him.
If their kids in school have...
Right. Oh, no, we're going to talk about trans. Right.
I wonder what level of spice he ordered at the Thai restaurant.
If their kids in school have
a little papaya salad, Gavin?
Have changed.
I don't know if that's coming out of his mouth or his stomach or the back end.
Do you really want to know?
Have changed their gender, their pronouns.
There's another one.
He makes lots of noises when you're asking him a question.
He's a strange speaker.
That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state...
He did it again.
He can't stop himself.
Now, if that's your state, how are you...
I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compute.
Well, I don't. But what is the job of a teacher? It's to teach. If Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue.
Oh, Johnny.
How did I get involved in this?
Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking someone of the same sex. Is the teacher's job to then report that? By the way,
no. That's not the question that he asked. He's not asking that about Johnny. He's asking if Johnny comes in and says, "Hi, my new name's Sue."
Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking someone of the same sex. Is the teacher's job to then report that? By the way, in this law, the teacher can still do that, but they can't be fired if that's what it can't be.
This is such a weird, specific piece of legislation to write, pass, and Gavin to sign.
You know, Johnny Cash wrote a song about that.
Oh, yeah?
A Boy Named Sue.
It can't be fired if that's not what they do. And that's something I think is, I just think that was fair. And I don't think that's inappropriate.
I've seen a lot of people lately talking about this 80-20 issue. And I think you are on the other side of this now, the side with the 80. 80 being 80% of the people in this country. Again, this is the issue of should biologically born men be able to compete in women's sports.
That's tough.
And, you know, I saw the polling here in California. They think you're a traitor for saying this.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the poll of California residents or the poll of California electeds?
Yeah, it's the California state legislature that came down on him like a ton of bricks. I think if you were to just pull an average person off the street and ask them about that, I think you'd get an 80-20 result too.
You know, when those kind of people call you a traitor, there's a word for that, electable.
Oh, Gavin liked that one.
Oh, he loves it. That's why he did it.
If the Democrats, and 80% of the people are with you on this now. Yeah. If the Democrats...
Well, with him on, he said that he agreed with Charles Kirk on a podcast. But has he done anything to actually change the law in the state of California? Not yet. And in fact, over the weekend, the Department of Education sent a letter to Gavin Newsom saying, hey, there's a bill in the legislature to overturn this. You better be supporting this or we're cutting off your funding.
But again, go back to the conversation we had in the previous segment. This is what Gavin Newsom does. Huge, grandiose statements and no follow-through.
It's one thing if you're just a radio talk show host or a broadcaster or a podcaster to opine on a subject that affects public policy. But when you are the guy who signs the bills into law, you can't just be like, well, I think that's unfair. You have to do something about it. Otherwise, you're full of crap.
But he wants it both ways. He wants to be able to sound reasonable on the subject, but then vote with the kooks in Sacramento.
Yeah. If the Democrats can't get with
what happened to Bill?
He's a vegetarian. They're weak.
Yeah. If the Democrats
had a little Peter Brady moment.
Yeah. If the Democrats can't get with 80, how are they going to do something when it's a 51-49?
No, I get it, and that's and the other side weaponizes these issues. They dehumanize.
Someone sidestepping the question.
These issues. They dehumanize, they attack, they demean, and they've weaponized this issue extraordinarily well. That said, on the fundamental question, is it fair? And I can give you example after example. Just in my home state, there was someone that won a triple jump by 8 feet.
Right.
All right. It's just, but it's it's serious. And we had 2 people in the state champion. This broke my heart.
Yeah, but are you doing anything about this at the legislative level?
And we had 2 people in the state champion. This broke my heart. 2 years ago, I'll never forget it, 18 months ago, we had 2 extraordinary athletes that got into the state finals, trans athletes. Got in the state finals. The backlash was so bad, they didn't even compete. And the other 2 people that were kicked out weren't able to compete. It was fundamentally unfair. We haven't been able to figure that out. So I express that as a fierce...
How hard is this to figure out?
He really doesn't want to be pinned down on this. He wants to be able to play both sides of it, where you can project on him whatever answer it is that you have yourself.
He's a chameleon. He changes what his response is. He changes his affectations based on who he is talking to. As was said by Sonny Hostin of The View, it's incredibly inauthentic.
It was fundamentally unfair. We haven't been able to figure that out.
I don't know who the real Gavin Newsom is, and we've been covering him every day for 6 years.
No, I don't think he really has any underlying ideology. I think his ideology is that he believes he should be the one in the room making the decision.
It was fundamentally unfair. We haven't been able to figure that out. So I express that as a fierce champion of LGBTQ rights.
Yes,
and have with a record that I'm...
What about all the other letters?
Roll out that alphabet, Gavin.
Do you not care about the IA+?
What's the I again?
Don't know.
I think that's intersex. I think that's if you're born with a penis and a vagina.
Oh, my. Congrats.
Rights.
Yes,
and have with a record that I don't put up with anyone.
You have the cred.
And so that's the challenge we have. You want to cancel someone who's been with you on almost, every critical issue at every critical juncture or decades, or cancel you because you have the audacity to go visit with Trump next week. I mean, you have more credibility to visit him than any guy.
I think so.
I know.
I had to bleep Gavin for dropping a GD.
I think so.
I know. You've been at this for 20 years.
Yeah.
Thank you to Ambassador Kid Rock for arranging that meeting.
I love that he was the go-between.
By the way, I give him a lot of credit for inviting me.
Yeah, by the way, and learn something from that, Democrats.
Yeah.
I'm serious about this. It's not zero sum. We're not winning right now. He won by 2.3 million votes. We lost the House and the Senate. And we're in a panic. I get it for good reason.
Yes.
This guy's not screwing around.
Right.
But we need to own our mistakes. And we need to own what's wrong with our party.
But are you going to do anything to show some different outcomes in the state of California where you're the head leader?
If past his prologue, the answer is no. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Bill writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Is Gavin Newsom schizophrenic? If he looks in the mirror, does he not recognize who he is and that he's the governor? He not only fails to fix problems, but he actively contributes to making them worse.